Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Brian Henry. I head up the professional services sector at HSO in the UK. And welcome to what we hope is going to be a series of events, webinars, where we're going to be showcasing the full depth and breadth of the Microsoft BizApps platform in collaboration with our IP, which is called AEC360. So welcome to the webinar today. I'm going to be joined today by Jonathan Smythe. Jonathan is one of our top AEC enterprise architects in the UK. Been working with Jonathan for a while, and he's going to be delivering you an amazing demo after a few positioning slides from myself. One slide on HSO. Most of you on the call have met us already, but just to put it into some context, who are we? Well, we're two things. We're a global systems integrator with deep links into Microsoft. We only provide solutions on the Microsoft BizApps platform. We integrate into other technologies such as BST and Deltek, but we're 100% focused on Microsoft solutions. And what that gives us is a really deep relationship with the product teams back in Redmond. So that's one of our USPs. The other USP is that we are laser focused on industry. So in the AEC, we've been delivering BizApps solutions for over 15 years. And over that time, what we've managed to do is build our own IP, which sits on top of the BizApps platform to accelerate time to value and to reduce risk on your projects. And it's that IP, in conjunction with the BizApps platform, that we're going to be talking to you and demonstrating to you today. So, what are we hearing out in the industry from AEC firms that we're talking about? So first of all, we're hearing that AEC firms have got disconnected teams and siloed information, leading to inefficiencies. We're hearing from AEC firms that they've got rising costs. Sound familiar? And a lack of real-time financial insights, which is impacting profitability. We're hearing that there's a need for better alignment between business development, project execution, and finance. Multiple systems doing those processes. Well, what we're talking about today is one platform delivering all those different workloads. And finally, and something that we are going to be looking at today, is resource constraints, making it difficult to match the right people on the right projects. And that's something that Jonathan is going to be talking about later on in the demo. Next slide, please, Jonathan. Just a couple of other things that reasons why we're being very successful, and Microsoft are being very successful out there in the marketplace at the moment in AEC. Cloud migration. So we're talking to so many firms that need to get off Deltek and BST, on-premise solutions, old clunky on-premise solutions, and need to move to the cloud. And clearly we're in the prime position to do that. IT security around data is critical. So lots of concerns around that at the moment. Consolidating vendors for CRM and ERM. So what we're showing you today is the full depth and breadth of CRM, project operations and finance, and AHR, which a lot of our customers are taking the full depth and breadth of. So in effect, one throat to choke in Microsoft and potentially one partner to help you on your implementation journey with HSO. Ability to integrate data from other core systems. And finally, what we're hearing a lot is out in the field. How do we get this solution working out in the field remotely with mobile across multiple browsers? So there's some of the things that we're hearing and some of the reasons why we're being successful at the moment. Next slide, please, Jonathan. Those of you on the call that have been to previous events know that this is my core slide. This is how we like to view the world of an AEC firm. And the solutions that we offer. So we've got Find Work, which is marketing, customer insights in Microsoft land. So lots of firms that we're helping with customer insights. Win Work, which is probably, we have several projects in this area at the moment. This is responding to tenders and RFPs, building business development plans, enterprise relationship management. So who's got the best relationships with our clients? What are the strengths of those relationships? Document assembly tools. So automatically generating resumes and business development plans. So we've got that IP which sits on our toolkit as well. And the areas which we're going to be mostly looking at today is deliver work. So setting up the project, setting up the WBS code, how do we collaborate on projects? How do we bring the fees and the resources together for this project? What does that look like? Resourcing, thinking about the time and billing and setting it up for core finance. And of course, across all these workloads, we've got our own BI packs. So we're not coming to you to say, what reports do you want? We're coming to you to say, these are the reports that other firms have asked for. What do you do differently? So we're not building from the ground up. And then we've got core finance, which is general ledger, etc., and all the things that you can read on the screen. And then for a lot of firms, we're actually doing HR as well. So D365 HR. So some firms were doing find work and win work. Quite a lot of firms, including the last case study that I'm going to show you, we're doing the whole thing. And the benefits of having data right through from marketing for a client right through to HR is immense. And that's some of the benefits we're going to be trying to bring out during today's presentation. Next slide, please, Jonathan. I'm not going to go through all of these, guys, but it's true to say you will not be short of referenceability and people to talk to. We're actually in the process, and a couple of the people on this call, I'm hoping to get involved in it, of putting together a user group of our clients and potentially organising the trip out to Redmond soon as well. So keep your ears peeled for that. But there's lots of experience that you can talk to, lots of clients that have gone down this journey already that it'll be interesting for you guys to talk to. Just finishing on the last slide, just to give you an example of one of our customers in the UK. So Fosters and Partners came to us about just over 2 years ago, needing to completely digitally transform. So you needed a new CRM system for the bids and putting their tenders together, generating resumes, pitches, needing new a system for actually setting up their projects. We talked about it just a slide ago. Setting up the WBS codes. What does the project look like? Which resources are we going to use? Building up all that intelligence. Then a new finance system, so D365 Finance, and we've now finished or just about to go live with D365 HR. So Fosters and Partners are taking the are reaping the benefits from for the full BizApps platform with all our IP running from end to end. Just one of a few customers that we can put you in contact to, which are using that full end-to-end capability. So next slide, please, Jonathan. So I'm going to hand over to Jonathan for the actual demonstration. If there's any questions, I'd be delighted to answer them in the chat. And I'm going to hand over to you, Jonathan. Thank you for your time.
Awesome. Thanks very much, Brian. All right. So welcome to the demonstration section of our webinar today. So I plan to run you through 4 different scenarios outlining how Dynamics 365 can help unlock profitable growth and talent within AEC 360. Our first demonstration scenario looks at how we can unify business development, project execution and finance within AEC 360, improving visibility, decision making and collaboration. So right now I'm wearing a business development hat, and here we are sat within our practice management dashboard. This acts as a business barometer, in this example highlighting cost performance by margins, gross margins by month, total sales by month, and a variety of different graphs or BI reports which give us insight into how our practice is running. Of course, you can have a variety of different dashboards within Dynamics 365, and I just simply have to hit the drop down here and perhaps specify the sales activity dashboard. And what we should see just once this has finished loading is the traditional pipeline funnel that shows me all of the various different opportunities that I'm working on. We've got my open opportunities just here, so all of the various different lines of business that I'm looking to try and close to add value to the business and of course bolster that order book. And then just up here at the top we can see that we've got our virtual assistant, which is looking through for any meetings and telephone calls, and the virtual assistant provides me with notifications of, in this example, an upcoming meeting with a chap called Fred Watson this afternoon at 4 o'clock. So it makes it very helpful for us in terms of, presenting those meetings and those activities so that we don't forget about them. Now, this afternoon, I have a meeting with somebody called Siobhan Wallace at Knights. Knights is a legal practice in Leicester, and Siobhan is my conveyancing partner that helps me with some of my conveyancing work. So I've just selected the customers area of the system and my active companies. And what I'll just do is turn on Copilot as well in the side pane for us. Now, Copilot is like our virtual assistant, which is working silently alongside. So as I select a specific account, and in this example, it's Knights PLC that help us with some of that conveyancing work, we can see that Copilot, just on the right-hand side, is summarizing that information for us. So it's giving us links, it's telling us how long Knights have been a customer or a partner with us, but also it's allowing me to go and get the latest news for that account. And I heard on the way into the office this morning that there was an acquisition possibly taking place with Knights. So to ensure that when I meet Siobhan a little later on, I've got the latest information, simply I just ask Copilot to go away and find me the latest news. It gives me the news articles, and then I can click on any of those, and Copilot takes me directly to that specific news article. So I can be well prepared for my meeting a little bit later on. So I'm also working with Siobhan on some specific projects. So what I'm going to do is take us back to our homepage and then just bring up the projects within the system itself. I'm just going to mute one of the participants because I'm getting a little bit of feedback coming through my headset. There we go. So I'm working with Siobhan on a large solar farm installation project. And what we can see here is all of the active projects that I am participating on at the minute. So I just need to look down here and find the Watson's Farm solar project. Again, Copilot is working in this sidecar here, so it's starting to again gather any relevant information associated with the project itself. Similarly, on the project, at a glance, I can see the estimates for this specific piece of work. So we can see the anticipated cost of $38,200. We can see any actuals which have been booked through to the project already. So we can see that, we're fairly early on in the project. We've only booked 48 hours of effort, and we've only incurred $4,240 of cost. Now I can also notice, if I scroll down a little bit, that the project manager has used Copilot to generate a project status report for me. It's accessible just up here at the top, so we can hit Copilot, status report, and then choose whether we would like to generate an internal version or an external version of that specific project status report. So in this example, I'm going to open up the Copilot project status report, and I can see the latest status for this specific project that Siobhan and I are working on collaboratively. So I can see, the estimates, the tracking of where we are, the top tasks by resources that have been completed. And of course, Copilot also has created automatically for me this narrative against the project itself. So again, it helps me to prepare so that I'm very well prepared for my meeting with Siobhan a little later on this afternoon. So I'm going to move now into the second scenario, and that is that I'm still wearing my business development hat. I've returned from my meeting with Siobhan, and I'm ready to start finalising an opportunity for the second phase of a large residential development on the outskirts of Leicester, a new garden village called Broadnook. We had already been awarded contracts for the first phase, and I'm bidding on the second phase. So what I do within the application is I just navigate to the opportunities. Within the opportunities, I just look for my Broadnook development opportunity there. And again, we can see that Copilot is working alongside. So just here, it's looking to gather that information for me. So we've got a nice opportunity summary for this Broadnook development opportunity here. Now, I'm working on this bid with another colleague in the office, so I think it would be useful if I actually sent this information to that colleague too. So I can press this button here to copy to an email. I can start to enter the recipient's email address, or if I already had it in against the opportunity, then it would automatically come up. And we can have Copilot automatically draft an email for us. So email John telling him that this information might be useful in preparation for our bid. And then if I select the generate button, Copilot generates a more structured and formal email for me. So we can see that it's creating a draft here. There we go. And we can see now that Copilot has authored that email for me. So it saved me quite a lot of time in the preparation of that email. And then all I need to do is just to hit this send button, and a log of this email being sent would be recorded. I won't save this for now. It would be saved within the timeline itself, and the email would be sent off to the recipients. In addition, we've got lots of information here that helps us and drives some of the BI within the dashboards. So, things such as the account manager. If we scroll on down a little to the bottom, we should be able to see the responsible office, the market that we're working within, and perhaps that segment. In addition, against the timeline, we have an ability also to store documents and narrative too. So you can store all of that rich, useful information. In this example, it's some images of the potential properties that will form part of this new Broadnook development. But again, it's just an area that we can share all of this information and use it to collaborate with our colleagues within the business. Now, just moving to think for a moment about the actual opportunity itself. I've moved on to the opportunity lines, and we can see that I've got two opportunity lines set up within this specific opportunity. I seem to be using the word opportunity a lot in this part of the presentation. Phase one is just here. So we can see Broadnook phase one development, and we can see that we've already won this specific phase of the development of this new garden village. And we can see also that it's been transferred automatically to a project. Phase two is what I'm looking on building this bid with one of my colleagues. So I double click to take me into that specific opportunity line. We can see that we have an ability to store multiple versions. So as you're going through that process of refining this offer for the customer, you can store different versions of that offering, so that if at any time you need to, you can revert back to the original version that you had created. Now, the fee estimate uses something called AEC360, and it's been designed to look and feel very much like Microsoft Excel, because we found that a lot of the people responsible for creating these fee estimates feel comfortable with the look and feel of Microsoft Excel. The key difference here, if I just give us a little more screen real estate by closing Copilot, so there we go, is that this is AEC360 linked into the core database. So it's going to be automatically pulling through things like roles, bookable resources, the prices for those specific resources in terms of selling prices, but also the cost prices as well. So if I just take a moment to explain what we're looking at here, we've got within column B, the breakdown of the work breakdown structure. So this is really a listing of all of the different tasks that will form part of this project if we're lucky enough to win it. Now we can see here that we've got it broken down into specific phases as well. So phase one is project development and planning, phase two, surveying, phase three, architectural design, and so forth. And then within each of those phases, we can see that we've got the breakdown of the individual activities themselves. And just with a simple right click, it's very easy for us to be able to add tasks and subtasks, delete them, promote them, and move the tasks around. So once we've got the work breakdown structure, then we start to drop in the various different elements of labour or the professional services that are likely to be working on this specific project. So we do that just by clicking this Add Labour button, and we can see that each time I click that, I'm given an additional set of two columns which allows me to select the either the role or the bookable resource. And then in selecting those, the system automatically goes away and gets me the sales price. And, we can store sales prices that are role specific, resource specific, date effective, to give you plenty of flexibility in the way that you can record that information within the system. Now, of course, one of the key benefits is that, if we were using just a traditional spreadsheet, would that spreadsheet have the latest sales prices and cost prices? Is it usable by other people in the business? Is it easy to find? Possibly not. The key benefit here is that this has that Excel look and feel, but of course it's linked up directly to the database so that we can rest assured that we're pulling through the latest bookable resources, the latest cost prices and selling prices, and so forth. Now, with us having our various different labour elements, so in this example, a project manager, an architect, and a survey crew chief, we can then start to drop in the number of hours effort required to complete each of these WBS tasks. And of course, if there are any expenses incurred, and that could be subcontract expenses as well, then we can click this button here to create some additional columns which will allow us to record what those expenses are and the anticipated costs for those too. Once we enter the anticipated effort, then we can see that there's a simple calculation that just multiplies the effort by the sales price to give us a sales amount. But then if I scroll along just a little bit to the right, then we can see the total anticipated labour cost and the total revenue or total fees that we would expect to generate in booking and invoicing these hours with the customer. Now, these next few columns, it's up to you how much detail you would like to be displayed, because obviously this is commercially sensitive information. But we can then see, our total profit in terms of monetary amount and our total margin as well. So it's giving you real insight into the potential profitability of this specific opportunity. In addition, if we're looking at creating something a little more visual, so it's nice and easy to understand the relationships between the various different work breakdown structure activities or tasks, so these things here, then each of these is represented as a block in this specific timeline here. And if I just hover over, we can see the node at both the beginning and the end of each of those tasks. And creating interdependencies or relationships between those is really just as simple as clicking and holding on to the node at the end, and then dragging an arrow to the various different tasks that we would like to create those relationships with. Now, this is fully interactive, so if we want to reschedule things, then of course we can just drag, and you will see that in just a moment or two, all of these subsequent activities will be shuffled along into the next week, so that it makes, moving the dates around and visualizing them on this timeline very quick and very easy for us to be able to use within the system itself. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea into the way that we can create our fee estimates and the way that we can put our proposals to our potential customers or prospects as we are working together. So once that opportunity has been won, then it really is as simple as selecting that opportunity line and then clicking this close as one. And in the background, the system is going to churn away and copy all of that information that we created on the opportunity itself over onto a project. And let's now take a look at that for our third demonstration scene within our webinar today. So here's the project, and if I just click to have a look, I'm switching hats now, so I'm moving really from a technical business development person into the role of a project manager. And I am primarily concerned with making sure that I can satisfy my project resource demands and deliver my projects on time and on budget. So we'll stay within this Broadnook project, and we'll take a look first of all at the WBS. And if I just select this second tab, it'll just load all of that associated information, which will have flowed automatically through from the opportunity onto the project itself. Now, as a project manager, sometimes the level of detail that the salespeople put into their opportunities is just not quite enough. So as a project manager, I can refine that. I can choose to add additional tasks or subtasks, and again, move things around so that it more realistically represents the project that I'm going to be responsible for delivering. In addition, we also have that Gantt chart on this second tab. And again, it's fully flexible in the way that we can drag and create those relationships, move these activities around, and reschedule things within the system itself. Now I need to match up the project resources with some project tasks, these various different tasks that are here. So let's just take a look at some example resources within the system. I'll do that just by selecting resources just here. And then what I should see is a list of all of the resources, but I'm going to search just for one specific resource. So I've found myself in that listing. Clicking on my name opens me up as a specific resource, and we can see that we can have different types of worker as well. So we can have employees, we can have subcontractors. If I just move on to the project service area, we can see that we can associate specific skills and we can rate those skills. So that again, we have an idea of the proficiency level of the resource and the associated skills that are recorded against them. We can also drop the resources into specific resource roles, and that will help me in just a moment or two when we start to have a look at the project resourcing and the way that we can assign the various different resources to the project tasks. We can also go on and have a look at our work hours, so we can have different working time templates for each of the project resources, so that in this example, I think I'm set up for a simple 9 to 5. Yes. On this specific schedule. And then we can also drill off and go and find other associated information. So if I'm interested in perhaps some of the actuals that I've booked through as a project worker, then we have an ability to go and find all of the actuals that have previously gone through, and of course filter on the basis of any of these various different criteria just here. Now we can make our project assignments in a number of different ways. So if I just return back to projects, I'm going to select Broadnook. And then once we've got that, if I select resource assignments, it takes a moment just for this to load the work breakdown structure. But then once it has, I can start to assign specific people within this resource assignment screen and then drop in the time. So, where I'd like to book a specific person, such as myself, I can then just drop in the hours that I would like to book that specific person. Or alternatively, I could use the schedule board. So if I just bring up the schedule board here, then once this is loaded, essentially what we should get is a list of the various different resources here and a list of the open project requirements that need satisfying just down at the bottom. Now I'm interested in finding a project manager. So in amongst roles, I'm just going to type in project man, select project manager and hit the apply button. And we'll see that the system goes away and returns me just the project managers within the system. We've got the ability to look at this information. If I just close off the filters, so we've got a little more screen real estate, we've got the ability to look at the assignments on a weekly basis, a daily basis, a monthly basis, even an hourly basis if you're dealing with, very small granular tasks. So, if I was to select daily, this will reload, and then we can see each of the various different tasks that our resources are booked onto. Now, dropping a task onto one of the employees here really is just as simple as me looking for the open requirement, clicking and dragging it up onto that specific employee. And then I can choose different types of booking. So I could have a hard booking, which is an absolute booking, it's almost like a confirmed booking. I could have a soft booking, so that's tentative, or I could have a proposal. So I'm proposing that booking, but the resource manager is, of course, going to be the tiebreaker that determines which project managers get which resources on their projects. So plenty of flexibility in the way that we can both view the existing workload against the resources, but also drop some of those tasks onto the various different workers within our organization. Now, from a reporting perspective, Brian had mentioned earlier that we have some BI content packs which are ready to deliver from day one. And if I just take you here just to show you a little example, this is just reloading our resource utilization report. And in just a moment or two, there we go, we can see our resource utilization dashboard. So we can see our overall utilization percentage. We can see our realization. We can look at billable hours, the employee utilization trends. If we'd like to see this information by resource, then we can click to change the view of the report. And then instead, we see all of the various different employees, the billable time, the utilization time, the total hours. So it gives us real insight into how well we're utilizing the resources within our business. But additionally, we've got the ability to introduce some filtering just up here at the top too. So, our first filter is looking at legal entities, because this specific report is looking across all of the various different legal entities. And then, an ability to search by manager or by resource, or perhaps to filter in just on specific dates. So hopefully that gives you a bit of an idea into the way that we can make best use of our valuable resources within a project planning framework. Now, for our final demonstration scenario, unfortunately, I'm going to be wearing 3 different hats. So that is of a project resource recording time, a project manager primarily concerned with project delivery, but also a project accountant, making sure that we've captured all of the costs in a timely manner, and of course that we're able to bill our customers according to our contractual terms. So if I first start with the project manager, I'm just going to return back to our project. So I'm going to select project, I'm going to select Broadnook, and in against the project itself, I'm interested on how we are tracking at the minute. So if I select etc EAC, then just as soon as this is loaded, here it comes. So I think what we're doing here is just gathering all of the associated bookings which have gone through. That's better. Okay, so if I just take a moment just to explain what we're looking at here, we can see our project structure. And again, we can see that it's broken down into the various different phases. So we've got our feasibility, our surveying, our architectural design, our procurement, and then we've got the individual tasks below that. For each of those tasks, we can see the anticipated contract value, we can see the contracted hours, and then we can see the revenue that we've actually generated, so what we've billed for each of those various different tasks. And then we can see the actuals that have gone through, the percentage of the revenue that has been completed, and then if we fast forward right across to the end, we can see the estimate to complete cost or the estimate at complete cost. So it gives us good visibility of the way that our projects are tracking and the way that those costs are being booked through onto the projects themselves. We can also look at that in a variety of different ways. So just up here, we've got the ability to hyperlink into the finance area of the system. So if I was to select fee management, then what we'll find is that from our project operations area of the application, we're now coming into the main finance backend. The system is just authenticating me, making sure that I have the relevant access privileges to be able to come in to this specific area of the system. And then just as soon as it has authenticated myself, it should automatically take me to that specific project that I had launched from. And again, this is giving me that snapshot in the finance area of the system of our contract value, our revenue that we've generated, and of course, that ETC EAC information, which just as soon as this refreshes, we should see the exact same information that we were looking at if I was wearing my project manager hat in the project operations area of the application itself. So give this a couple more seconds. and then hopefully we should start to see that information. There we go. So ETC, EAC, and again, the revenue which has been pushed through that project. So just thinking about one of the most expensive costs usually hitting our project, it's labor hours. So in this example, I'm just going to temporarily switch hats or change my role, and now I am a project resource. If I select project tasks, then what we should see in just a moment or two is a little BI graph just here, which will show me the time that I've recorded against my timesheets. There we go. So we can see, you know, through the 3rd to the 6th, I've recorded 8 hours for each of those, and we can see the status. So they're currently awaiting approval. Now, as a professional service resource, I have to fill in my timesheets. And if I just drop into timesheets and then into the timesheet itself, I've got the ability to copy from either my favorites or my assigned timesheet resource forecasts. So this is where I've been booked onto specific projects. And in this example, this is exactly what would happen, where we can pull that timesheet information through and then just drop in the hours for each of the various different tasks that we've completed. And just to draw your attention to something, you can work across legal entities. So in this example, we can see that I'm working across multiple legal entities within the system here. Now, again, just switching hats, I'm the project manager. I'm responsible for the approval of time. So I go into my project manager workspace. I drop into my timesheets line level approval. And this is where typically on a Monday morning, I would be looking to approve all of the timesheets for the previous week. Although, you know, if you want to do this on a daily basis, you can, for all of the various different project resources that are working on my projects. So I can see each of the various different projects just up at the top. And then for each of the projects in the central area, I can see the resources that are booked time, the amount of time, and then the detail just down here. And that makes approving the time, you know, very quick and very easy. I can approve, reject, delegate, or indeed request some changes if I need some changes making to the time. Now just thinking about billing and how we would bill our time here. And this is, I think, probably one of the final parts of our demonstration today. In against the project manager dashboard, I've got my projects. I can select a specific project. And again, I can see all of the associated information here in terms of the work in progress and what has been invoiced through to date. Once this just pops up, what I should have the ability to do is to see the project structure associated with this specific project as well. So here it is. And again, we can see that familiar project structure where we've got our various different phases of feasibility and surveying and so forth. But if I just select one of those specific phases, you can see that it's linked to a specific project. So I'm going to drill into, I think, this project planning example. And then once I'm in here, we've got this billing schedule tab. And of course, we can define just here under contract billing frequency, how frequently we would like to create our bills or our invoices. And there's a lot more infrastructure in the background in terms of how we can create our project contracts and the rules around, you know, what's potentially billable or not billable. We can then create a billing schedule. And if I just drop into our example billing schedule here, this is really just a review screen. So when we're looking to generate our invoice, we see the reflection of our project structure, and then we can see the contract value, the work in progress, and the potential billings that would go through for that month. And then again, you can go through and at an individual line level, you can start to update the status or the indicator in terms of being approved and ready for billing. If we need to have a bit of a conversation with whoever is responsible for approving that billing schedule and the billing approver, then there's a button up here, Chat with Billing Approver, which just opens a Teams window and allows us to have an instant dialogue with whoever is responsible for approving this specific billing schedule. We also have the pre-billing summary document. And essentially what this is a document that allows us to collaborate internally with colleagues and discuss the potential billings for the month for this specific project or account. And here we can see, for example, that I've dropped in some notes. The narrative is just here. Looks like we're making good progress. Please, can we bill all of this? And of course, we can flag that this specific pre-billing summary, like a pre-invoicing stage, is approved and ready to rock and roll. Once it is, we can have a batch process that automatically generates your invoice proposal for you. This is our invoice proposal just here, and it's one that I've previously created. And then again, some customers mandate that you send additional supporting information with an invoice. So that might be timesheet information, expense receipts, copies of invoices if you're rebilling subcontractor information. And just up here, we've got this create archive file, which can automatically assemble all of the associated supporting information for this invoice proposal. So the approved timesheets, the expense copies, the invoices, and then it automatically attaches them to your invoice proposal. So here it is as a zip file. And then if I just very quickly open that for you, then we can see in this example that it was a timesheet. And then we can double click and we can see that timesheet sign-off report, which can go and of course accompany the invoice that goes off to the customer. Now, the final thing is really just making sure that you've got specific insight into the way that your projects are tracking through the system itself. And if I just go to this final tab, this is one of our BI content packs. We've got a whole list of content packs that give you more information about your projects. But here, of course, we can see, our Dell sales outstanding, our revenue, our backlog. We've got different perspectives just up here. So, we can go and have a look at project details, for example, and our project work in progress. So almost $1 million of project work in progress in this example, or, a cost analysis or a revenue analysis. So again, it's a BI content pack which has been designed ready to support you out of the gate, so that as you're putting all of this valuable information into Dynamics 365, you're able to report on it and make good, informed decisions. So that brings me to the end of the software demonstration part of the webinar for today. So I think if it's okay, I'll pass back to yourself, Brian, just to wrap up.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. The amazing demonstration, and it really brought to life the depth and breadth of the deliver work and parts of the finance solution that we have for AEC, and a really good snapshot of those at the end, a really good snapshot of the Power BI packs that we've put together that are pre-built and that we can just amend for our customers rather than build from scratch. So thank you for your time, guys. Really appreciate it. As I said at the top of the webinar, this is going to be the first in a series of events, because if we were to show you the full depth and breadth of what I described earlier, right through from marketing to HR, it's probably 3 hours worth of content.